right, welcome back here on a Monday. We're going to jump into football preview, Big 12 North today. We're going to delve right into Iowa State as a standalone segment here. And John McDermott to help us break it down with some Big 12 North analysis. John, with Iowa State, it's a new coach, not a new quarterback, Austin Arnaud. Does it begin and end with him?
Well, I think it certainly begins with him. I don't know that it will necessarily end. I think one thing that's getting overlooked or not talked about enough is the two running backs that they've got coming in. Alexander Robinson coming in with some good experience from last year, and a kind of an unknown Bo Williams, the Florida transfer. This kid had the makings of a really good running back coming into Florida, decided to leave Florida and transfer to Iowa State. Sits out a year, so we'll see what kind of shape he's in. Kind of a Sean Green type situation as far as sitting out a year and having to come back and play at a high level in the Big 12.
Does Arnaud have anybody of any prolific stature to throw the ball to?
Well, they do. I really like Darius Darks and what he did as a freshman last year, as well as Marquise Hamilton and Cedric Johnson. I think that trio is one of the better trios in the Big 12 North.
Iowa State last year could score. We saw that in games like Kansas, but they gave up a lot of points. Secondary, not horrible, John, but they've got to stop people. And this year in the Big 12 North, it's no different.
Yeah, they were one of the worst, if not the worst team defensively in the Big 12 last year. And they've definitely got to change some things, which Paul Rhodes and the defensive staff will do. Sophomore Leonard Johnson, the return specialist and cornerback, I think is probably their best defensive player coming back. But they need big contributions from guys like James Smith and Jesse Smith, the linebacker from here in the CIML.
Smith brothers. No relation, I guess. But here's where I want to go with you, John. They're going to put pressure on opposing quarterbacks. Last year in the Kansas game, a 20-3 lead, and then the quarterback and the running back are allowed to run wild. I don't know how many sacks last year, but they have got to apply pressure on the opposing team signal caller.
Yeah, I think they were last in the Big 12 last year with 17 sacks, and that's definitely an area that Paul Rhodes and the staff are going to address this year. Definitely a little bit more of an aggressive style defense. You're not sure where the blitzes are going to be coming from, but we'll be doing some blitzing. So I would look for that number to creep up closer to 30, just with a different scheme and a different mentality defensively on the linebackers coming through and trying to get into the backfield for tackles for loss.
Well, it's all about W's and L's, John. North Dakota State, the Iowa game could be pivotal. They got a road game at Kent State, Army, a game in Kansas City this year. Then they go to Lawrence the very next week. Are you gonna get a little cuckoo here and tell me maybe 6, maybe even 7 wins for the Cyclones?
Yeah, I kind of went through it again last night. I've done this a few different times, and it seems like each time it changes in my mind. I think that's mainly because of all the unknown variables on a lot of the teams in the Big 12 North. You had a lot of key players leaving last year, but I have them 5-5 heading into those last two, at home against Colorado and then at Missouri. And
toss-up games, probably.
Yeah, there's 4 or 5 toss-up games, so you could see a 4-8 season, or you could see a 7-5 season if all the chips fell in the right direction for the Cyclones.
Let's go back to the Iowa game. Do you think it's going to be one? We only got about 20 seconds. The Iowa game this year, do we throw it into the toss-up category? Because I'm of the understanding that Iowa's coming in with a score to settle. Last year they beat them. The year before, 15-13 on the Shaggy field goal fest. What do you think, real quick?
I think a young Cyclone team kind of, adapting to the new coaching style, I think that's a tough spot for Iowa State. I think the offensive line for Iowa in the ground game take control in that one. They don't ask Stanzi to do too much. Iowa 10 to a 13-point victory there.
Yeah, will Iowa State even score against that Iowa defense is my question, but we'll see. All right, that is it's a couple of months away. It's coming quick. All right, good job. We're coming back. We'll break down the Big 12 North, some of the other contenders, and there's a lot of pretenders. It's a down year once again in the Big 12 North. Iowa State could have an opportunity to move forward. Coming back, John McDermott inside the Big 12 on a Mad Dog Marty Monday. Don't go away.